he got a rare form of cancer and passed away. Things happen in life and it's really hard to control them. It's really hard to understand them.
The power in business comes from networking no matter what you do. Stick to your six-figure job.
Yeah, like it is.
Unless you're crazy enough like her.
Yeah,
You know?
the ability not to conform. I think when you actually feel who you are yourself, what you're doing, what you want, and you feel happy, opportunities will come to you. Not through the universe, through your own damn hard work.
But if you're a founder, you need to be so obsessed with what you do. Be very honest with yourself. Be yourself and people will like you. We started from zero. We sort of had a cowboy attitude.
The coolest climate tech startups. In short, we tell their stories.
A lot of breakdowns, burnouts, crashes. There's two parts of it. Emails, calls, client meetings, dinners, all of the nice stuff.
We had an editor that worked for us. And he was the most talented person I've ever digitally met, to be honest. He worked off-site, quit his job to work for us. He worked in a call center and he said, you know what? I love what you guys do.
He's crazy, motherfucker. He just said, this is my dream, fuck this. Let me figure this out with you guys. Yeah. And he did.
He was all in on, like, when we told him the vision of what we want to do, he elevated our production to new heights. Unfortunately, he got a rare form of cancer and passed away. And, his big void in our company that we should be transparently, we've never filled that energy that he brought. Like, we're still obviously continue working with the best of the best people. And it's these people that actually help enable the world to move and understand. And when we lost him, it put a lot into perspective for us, that positive culture into the company, that even no matter what, every risk that anyone else takes, we want to harbor a lovely, caring work environment. And things happen in life and it's really hard to control them. It's really hard to understand them. But all you can do is try your best and work with the best.
Yeah. That's when work for the best. We have this conversation a lot right now because we're hiring. The person I wanted I don't think we still have processed this, to be honest, with Aaron Way. And I think on a business side as well, like Kiran said, we still haven't recovered. Why? Because he was really, really good. The extent that he taught himself in a few months, something that most people with 5 years of experience don't have. And the biggest lesson that we have is that in order to succeed, you have to work with Champions League players, A-star players, only the best of the best. And we still haven't recovered. Now we use our growth to spend a bit more and to get someone that can hopefully match that. But it's so hard to find good people.
I know. I love all of those stories. I think this concept come up a lot from yesterday. I have this dinner to launch my business. And this, just before this interview as well, it's basically
Unicorn one to watch.
Yeah, hopefully. Hire people who are better than you. Do their job, so you don't need to do anything. So I hope my video editor, by the time he edit this, I hope you can be mission aligned with me.
Pressure is on.
It's a good segue to go to what's next. Climate Cowboys. Climate Cowboys. What's next for Climate Cowboys? Because I saw there's some exciting announcement, and then you work with for the project that's the Prince is also there. Well, tell me more about that.
Well, what's next? All right, let's see. In the short term, right now, like I said, we're 2 years old. We're now at this bootstrap. Knew no one. We had no money, nothing. So that means it took us a while to get the revenue to a place where we can actually scale the business. Now we are lucky enough to work with some fantastic clients who don't just support us, but they support us long term. People like X+Y, who have been with us for 2 years, Sustainable Ventures, who we are their partner, Climate Connection with Juliet. We built a foundation, and now it's time to build on the foundation. So going back to people, it's now time to bring people in, the best of the best that we can find. It's time for us to, I think, go one level above. We work with a lot of great startups, and we will continue to do this. We now want to work with conglomerates and multinationals. That's our next goal. Large infrastructure projects abroad. We went to our first climate conference in Paris now to discover what Europe has to offer. I come from the south of Germany in Stuttgart. We want to go there to traditional German businesses because there's a lot of innovation happening. So I think it's getting the production company, so that part of the business. We have a lot of plans of what we actually want Velvet Green to be. It's much more than a media agency, what we want to do. But the engine of that is the production company, and that's now getting to the stage of building it into an actually solid business. Right now, it's solid, everything works well, but we do a lot of the work. Getting talent in that can do the work.
It's an interesting concept. One founder friend told me, and this is the game-changing statement. He goes, you want to be working on the business, not in the business. If you're working in the business, you're not thinking, you're a cog, you're doing something. But if you want to work on the business, as business development, planning, long scale, like making the relationships, that was a game-changing statement for us. And that's been the key word of philosophical statements for this year and I think onwards. We want to work on the business. If you ever find yourself doing the day-to-day things, that's working in it, and you need to make sure you have a team that could do that or get to the point where you can have a team, right? It's impossible to say have a team, even in that statement, but as much as you can, you could have teams, and just make sure, I think the big goal here is working on the business.
Space. So yes, working on the business, elevating our product to the next level. We want to produce content that's better than the best production companies in our price sector. We don't care too much about the bottom line right now. We really just care about reinvesting into quality, getting the best product we can. And that's our current phase. Get this production company to offer market-leading video accessible to climate startups. And part of Velvet Green is not just to produce stuff for the climate sector, but to have our own impact. So initially that was with charity donations, where we would donate a percentage of our profit to planting trees, these kind of things. We're now switching to donating to charities in terms of video donations. So we're doing our first project with a charity called Unfold. They support children, single mothers through mentoring. We're doing that in collaboration with X and Y, where we will do video for them, a hero video to help them raise awareness in terms of volunteers, people they can help, fundraising, all of these things to commemorate the 30th anniversary. And that's now getting built as well. I think we always wanted Velvet Green. It's sort of, our impact is quite cool because by promoting businesses and initiatives, we can help spread the message of sustainability with video. That's right, but we actually want to have our own impact, and we're finally at the stage where we can really offer targeted support to charities that do things on the ground. So this is our first goal, to do it with Unfold, and hopefully this year we can really build on that.
We made that switch because it's practicing what we preach, right? We go and tell everyone you need good comms, you need good marketing, and as we said once before, it's the people doing the impact that don't have the voice. So why are we not using our profits to go and help the people that need to be helped? We take a chunk of our profit of each project and we put it into a pot. So if we have 18, 19, 20 clients over the year, that project of give back is funded by all of them. Yeah. It's all money from our clients that actually create the impact as well. So we, run the shoots at zero profit to find the charity, the organization, the not-for-profit that needs the amplification.
So you do the shoots for free for the charity?
Yes.
Obviously, we're a young business. We're sort of all co-investing into it a little bit. Yeah. We're offering a lot of support on the post-production, on the planning and everything. Yeah. And then in the future, we hope to fund the full campaign ourselves. Yeah. The problem to do a full campaign at that scale can be quite expensive. Yeah, so I think from summer onwards, because we also need to grow, right? I say the bottom line doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in terms of so much that it doesn't end up in our pockets yet, but it goes to the company. So that's a fine line. Yeah. But I mean, in an ideal world, we want to pick charities that have really good impact, not just impact on the grand scheme, but I think local to London, helping kids, helping single moms, helping put bees on rooftops,
The big thing for me as well is diversity. Diversity in the climate space, there isn't any, to be honest. There's been different stories that this podcast probably couldn't handle. A big thing for me is through Velvet Green and my own personal missions is trying to change that diversity element in the climate space. The narrative was always the same. There is always underrepresentation, but I think underrepresentation in this sector of people that are trying to change the world, the planet, the environment, literally the climate, through the technologies they're doing, there is a big problem there that I hope through some of our initiatives, when we get there, we'd love to do foundations and competitions, startup competitions, different things, but really, really use our momentum of impact to actually try and make a change as much as we can. So, yeah.
My God, it feels like a business meeting. There's so many things I wanted to cooperate and also make introductions to you guys. It's really, really exciting. I think the whole world needs people like you guys and also me. Let's go to the lightning round. The first question is very relevant. Knowing what you know now, what's the one piece of advice that would give it to yourself when you first start your first business?
Network. The power in business comes from networking no matter what you do. Be yourself, but you also have to make sure you build a good image. I think it's really important. We talk about LinkedIn a lot these days, and I hate LinkedIn personally. I think it's the worst thing to happen to business. For example, Forbes 3030 came out, and I've got a few friends that got it, and they are amazing. Since the start, they have done incredible businesses. But I see other people that just post some random stuff that has no relation to this in any way, just to pick themselves up. But again, it works because it's an image. So I would say, be yourself, stick to your guts, but network and play the game a little bit, because you could have gone a lot further than that. I've always worked hard, not hard enough, I think. I should have worked smarter, but I should have networked like crazy. Because now, for example, Kiran is the best networker. That's why we are where we are, because he built our network, right? He built our client base. He went out to every single event and talked to everyone, no matter if it's the CEO of Barclays. He would say, "Hi, I'm Kiran Patel," and talk about our little production company, whose cameras are forgotten on a train, randomly.
Lasting impression.
That's it. But just network out there. Don't care what people think in that sense. Just make it happen. And I wish I did that sooner. But then again, life is beautiful, and the journey of life is beautiful. And you can't be perfect. You can't beat yourself up. You learn, you do it again. And to be honest, I'm 27. That's the new 23 these days with medicine. If you're 40, it's the new 30. If you're 50, it's the new 40. Time is in your sight. I think people think these things take so long. Things can happen quite quickly. But it only happens if you've got the experience. There. In essence, I would say do exactly the same. I'm very happy with how I lived my life, through the bad and good. But you should have been a bit more switched on, Brendan.
Following on from what Brendan said, network is everything. I think a lot of your self-confidence drives that. It's something that people doubt, right? They doubt themselves, that they should be in the room. They should not qualified to be in the room, like even getting out of the house to be in the room. There are so many factors that people face. There's so many different things that people going on. I think if you have that ability to push on beyond all of those crazy, terrible shit that's happening all everywhere. There's always will be something popping up. It's an infinite train of shit.
It's fun being a fan.
No, it's not. It's like...
Stick to your six-figure job.
Yeah, like, it is...
Unless you're crazy enough like her.
Yeah, it is an infinite amount of pop-up and different things that you need to deal with. It's never going to change. And if I could tell myself one big gem, along with what Brendan was saying of networking, because I network like mad anyway, but I think the ability not to conform. The foundation of this podcast is people that are breaking the mold and conforming. Yeah. I think when you actually feel who you are yourself and what you're doing, what you want, and you feel happy, you will thrive and opportunities will come to you. Yeah. Not through the universe, through your own damn hard work. Yeah. And that's the truth of it. As long as you feel that you are thriving in an environment, you will thrive in an environment. If you feel that you're not, it's your own self-limitation. I feel like if you can break that barrier of conforming, that's my own advice to myself.
I need to hear those. People,
you're doing amazingly.
Yeah. I think people, sometimes when they're in a corporate job for too long, nobody's telling them. Yeah. Everybody needs to ask for permission to just write an email to somebody else. Speaking of which, about the mental health piece, how do you unwind? One trick that works for you.
I don't think I'm a good person to ask because I'm an absolute workaholic. I think about this quite often, right? And I think about my hobbies. I like music a lot, so I love techno, so I listen to music. I sit on my balcony, maybe have a glass of wine and just relax like that. I never thought this would be me, honestly, but if you're a founder, you need to be so obsessed with what you do and where you want to go and how you want to build this and everything that this is my hobby. Yeah. This is what I think about at night. I will wake up and write stuff down in the middle of the night. And in a weird way, that doesn't add stress to me. It just gets me excited. Mm-hmm. So I think number one, I would say I have clear boundaries. I don't work on the weekend, for example. That's my boundary. I will not. It's just something I do not do because I used to do shoots on the weekend and I burnt out 4 years ago as well. If I had a little tip is, I guess, be very honest with yourself. Because if you're really honest with yourself, then you acknowledge what you've done wrong and you can sort of be in zen. I think other than that, have a glass of wine and just watch some Netflix. Yeah. But honesty to yourself, leveling with yourself at every moment, that helps me to relax because it puts things into perspective, whether they're good or bad, and then realizing you can't change it today. If you can't do it right now, then don't worry about it right now.
I think finding zen, finding that peace, it is difficult. I have quite a different response. Coming back to the whole YouTube thing that I mentioned, and as Brendan mentioned as well, like your work is continually our life, right? We enjoy it, we do it, this is why we're doing. I think it's that love of media for me. We produce videos, but I think taking time to learn and appreciate other people's creations is a big thing for me. Like seeing the latest thing that came on Apple TV Plus or Prime or Amazon, or going to watch the movie that everyone said was shit because that's their perspective. I'll go and find my own. Taking time to appreciate the art is a big one for me. And I think for the way my brain works, visual art is one of the best things in the entire world. So many beautiful visual art installations in London and around the world, like some really cool ones that I've seen in, you know, faraway countries like Japan. But for me, I think if you can take time to go and appreciate someone's art, immerse yourself in it, for me, that's the happiest thing in the entire world. I waited 5 years to go and see the Yayoi Kusuma, the Kusuma Infinity War. I waited like 5 years. I tried to chase it in London, and I tried to go to LA, didn't get it. Then COVID came, got tickets, they cancelled them, and then the whole circle of trauma. But when I got there, it was probably one of the happiest days of my life. Visual art, lights and mirrors, and being in the moment and appreciating someone else's life work of art.
I just came from another interview. So this lady basically wants to democratize museums' visual art. Have this utility token that you can acquire. You don't have to have all the money to acquire the whole thing, but you basically support the artists that you love. And then they created this community as well. Then they have 200 people in London.
Startup that is doing this now. You can buy percentages of famous art pieces that they bought and then use it as an investment. This whole tokenization of art is super cool.
Yeah.
Especially with NFTs.
Yeah, that's the question from her, who's the CEO of this company. She asked, to your current success, however way that you want to define success is, do you think it's more contributed by hard work or luck?
First of all, I don't think we have any success yet. I think we're losers still. I mean, it sounds really hard, sorry, but...
The way that you define.
So if it's hard work, I think we can work harder, to be really honest with you. I think we work hard, but I think there's always more. But I think that's kind of organic, to be really honest, because as the business grows, you're forced to work harder, responsibilities get more. So I think we're sort of going that wave where it sort of naturally comes. A lot of luck, yes. I think it's to what Kiran said earlier about not conforming. I think the climate industry, sadly, is quite a conformed place. And I say that because there's a lot of people from Oxbridge, from Russell Groups, they come from great universities, but they all think the same, right? And then you have a lot of scientists, there's sort of that. You have a lot of activists. There's sort of the activists are getting replaced now with a new generation of people. But people still kind of think the same. And I think what's missing for climate, to be really honest, is people who act like in early stage tech. You know, back in the 90s when technology was totally crazy and people suddenly built a website that shows videos or shows you can search online, you can get mail online. What the hell? Why do I have a postman for that? You know, no one thought of this. I think you need a bit of that. I'm not saying we are that, but I'd like to think because we think a little bit differently, that attracts luck. And if you put that with hard work and hopefully you're a nice person, then that brings you to success. So I really think it's a combination, but honestly, stay on your wave. And don't do things like everyone else. You don't need to write your email exactly like this, talk like this, bam, 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 bam. Be yourself and people will like you, especially these days where the workforce is getting younger and has been brought up in a certain way.
I will be a Toyota Prius in this response, part petrol, part hybrid, combustion and electric. I think it's a bit of both. It's probably 80% hard work. And I think it's that tiny bit of luck when it comes. The right place, right time, but usually that equation always comes back to equaling to the hard work, to be in those situations, to think of the environments where you are, to get through the door and beyond, and then for a miracle to happen. I'd say it's an 80-20 split between 80% hard work and that 20% shit just happens. It's undescribable how it happens, but that 80%, my God, you feel it. And you have to keep feeling it. You feel it.
Can I just say with luck as well? The big thing that we were lucky in is that we stumbled, I think, in our career to this in a weird way. starting our companies very early, never really having conformed to much of a 9 to 5. Like you say, I think so if you've been in 9 to 5 for 20 years and they tell you how to do things, you need to recalibrate your brain essentially, right? To really get into the mentality of shit, I'm going to do it and this is not possible. Screw all of you, this is what I dream. We were lucky, really lucky to have always had that journey to come from a creative field. We would have probably also been crushed by the system to a little extent, right? So I think that's really our luck. Our luck is to somehow have that life took us in this journey. The rest is hard work, but that's lucky. Then again, I'm jealous of all the skills and experience you have, having worked in a corporate. So
I don't know what kind of skills I have that can help me in this journey, but I think there's a perfect quote that I read in a book called The Third Door. Luck is like a bus, it always comes, but if you're not ready, you'll never get on it. I think that's the perfect answer for that question. And then the next question will be the constant question in the lightning round. Because I'm in climate, I'm passionate about CDR, carbon removal. So I will ask, have you ever heard of carbon removal and your understanding about carbon removal?
I'm not a scientist, but I do know about it. I think it's really cool, really important. I think the industry has had a lot of scandals early on, which is normal. Most industry have when they start. The internet did, crypto did, all of it did, as does carbon removal. But I think you need to do it, right? Carbon needs to be removed. Creative ways to do it have to happen. And I think your business, especially finding a way to finance it, I guess in a summary, is needed. So yes, and I think it's a big part of our sustainable future.
Following on from that, yeah, I think it is a sector that needs more love. It needs more attention, needs more marketing, branding, and it needs more innovators like yourself, Lydia. Like, I know obviously you're launching this venture to actually tackle a serious problem here. It is a market that, there is profit there, but there is also impact.
Yes.
It is impact that's not happening fast enough.
Exactly.
No matter what country anyone listens or watch this, everyone's not doing good enough.
Yeah.
And there needs to be more change, and I feel like there needs to be more action upon it. And I think for carbon removal in general, you only hear about the big stories. You get big carbon removal programs. You hear about all the big documentary pieces because they're the only ones with enough budget to actually show you what actually happens. I think there is a lot of room for innovators on the ground, on a bootstrap level, to go in and do the deals and actually create that impact without having to have a conglomerate behind you. And if your little idea turns into a conglomerate, great.
Hopefully.
Ride it out. It just needs more of a spotlight. And the people, more than anything, that are actually doing this, need that spotlight. Because no matter what invention, there's going to be a million great inventions. But I think it's the people that drive all of it to the forefront. And hopefully Lydia can do it. She will do it.
Every effort deserves a story. Leave a question for the next guest.
Oh, we can leave two.
Yes.
I would say my question for the person next would be, what is your coping mechanism and why while growing and building the business?
Okay, that's somebody for a question that somebody is building a business.
I'm going to go with, what's one thing that you think needs to change in the climate industry for this to really become a mainstay of industry as a whole? And I hope that's not just a silly corporate answer like finance and those kind of things. I hope it's a bit more fundamental. Based on your experience working within the sector or starting a company within the sector, whatever it is, what do you think needs to change for this to become as big as tech? Obviously, money is the answer at the end of the day, but maybe there's something else they can say.
Well, another question. If the guy I interview is not in climate, what question will you leave?
Okay, if you're not in climate, based on your work experience and your professional life, what do you think is something companies can do that's easy for them to make an impact? It doesn't have to be climate, whether that's corporate social responsibility, on the employees themselves, on their own products. What have some learnings been that you've had to help every company do a little bit? Because away from climate, I think this whole sector has an opportunity to do better for the world. This is business for good, amplified, right?
Oh, yes.
So what? Even if you're a steel company, you can still do some good, even though you do horrible things for the because you're not going to go away. That's the truth. I mean, people think steel goes away. Nah, it's going to stay. But at least if it does a little bit of good, then it's a little bit less than all the bad it does.
There's green steel now. Oh, thank you so much for being on the podcast. This is Velvet Green, Climate Cowboys, Brendan and Kiran, episode 5.
Thank you.
Bye. This is amazing.
Oh yeah.
I love this.
Hi. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Lydia. Yeah, no, I'll try.